Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to St. Bernard Acres. Hanging out in the cabin, in the kitchen, getting ready to cook some dinner. This is Friday, July 19th. It has been a busy week. No chance to do any videos or anything. You know, driving a cab, I've just been going crazy. A lot of runs, made a lot of money, so we're happy about that. Because I started working Mondays. You know, I did Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and I kind of like the job. I don't have a problem with it, and it's decent pay for, you know, retiree working part-time. So I said, you know what, I'll pick up Mondays too. I'm usually headed back. I have to go back to Wheeling on Sundays anyway. So I may as well work Monday. So it's an extra $500 a month plus tips. Hell yeah, I'll take it. So it's like probably 6 o'clock out here now. I just got here, you know, not long ago. We had to get Gail's car worked on. Then I had to get the oil changed in the truck and the air filter and all that kind of stuff. You know, just do them all. And got all that done and got out here. So now I'm going to cook some dinner. I'm not going to do any work tonight other than cook some dinner. And I figured I'd chat with y'all while I'm cooking dinner. Knock out two birds with one stone. Tonight on the menu is Cajun style andouille sausage. Or in Houston we call it andouille. But I love Cajun smoked sausage. And some Velveeta shells and cheese. Why not? Something quick and easy to throw together. I'm only going to eat half of this sausage. So let me get a baggie to put the other half in so it doesn't go bad. I probably will grill that next weekend. But you know, I just didn't feel like going out and buying dinner somewhere. I just felt like cooking something here in the cabin. So why not? I'm going to cut this in two halves so this will fit in the baggie. That'll keep for a bit. This might have been too much. But that's just a quick, easy way to do this sausage. And I will not eat all of this tonight, but I can heat it up tomorrow for lunch. I'm sure not going to throw it away. Alright, do I have any oil? I didn't think about oil. I've used it all cooking on the griddle. And I forgot to bring any more with me. So, let me throw a little bit of butter in there real quick. That'll work. I hope the skillet's big enough. That'll give me a little bit. Then I got to boil my water. Boil water. Oh Man, do I have a strainer down here? I think I do. I think I might. Let me look. Yes, I do. A well-stocked kitchen. So, anyway, like I said, it's a pretty good week. Very hot. I got out here tonight and with some rain. All right. Yeah, that skillet's big enough. Yeah, I like it. So, what do you want to talk about? What's going on? Ain't nothing going on. Shit, I just got here. So I was thinking about something. You know, I kept wanting to make a... You know, I would like to do these taxi cab chats. And if I take a long run and I'm waiting somewhere for someone, it's easy to set up the camera and do a chat. But it seemed like all week I was just doing long, short runs just in the area. I went to Zanesville yesterday from Bel Air, but she was only in the doctor's office for about 20 minutes and then ready to come back to Bel Air. So, and from there it was just constant, little 5-mile runs, 3-mile runs, picking somebody up and taking them. So, not conducive to making vlogs. I did go to Morgantown, but I didn't get a chance to do the video then. So, you're just stuck. As this is cooking, I will do my vlog. Right? I think I can kind of pinpoint when in history, one event that started us on the downhill slide that we're on right now. And that was 60 years ago. If you will think back to the late 50s, early 60s, or pretty much any time after World War II, during the 50s and the early 60s, the way the home worked, the dynamic of home life back then was Dad went out and worked. And through his work, they could buy a house and pay bills. And turn this down a little bit. It's cooking a little faster than I thought it would. But with Dad working, one income was fine. Dad went to work. Dad provided. He was the provider. That's what we men have always been throughout history. We're the hunters, the gatherers. Right? Mom managed the household and raised the kids. It sounds really old-fashioned, but trust me, it was a better system back then. Then we got feminism. Feminism was a scam. Under the guise of empowerment, it was a scam. And what I mean by that, women were told they are equal to men, which they are. I'm not denying that. And they should be out earning with men. Why was that good for business and for the government? Why was that so great? You doubled the labor force, for one. You had cheaper labor. Right? You doubled the tax. So the government got double the tax revenue. That's why that was great. While you had two incomes working then, they quietly rose the cost of living through inflation because you had two incomes coming in. And they wanted to make sure that that stayed. That was the big thing. So that's why the cost of living rose so much. You had both in the household working. So in order to keep that, the cost of living went up. And that too was by design. Double the workforce, double the labor pool, lower the wages, because now as men who were the gatherers and the hunters and that kind of the providers, now we're in competition with women for our jobs. That really was bad. And what happened at home now, school for the children, the school system was the secondary part of education because mom and dad educated the children, primarily mom. Mom was there when they got home to make sure that their homework was done, that she helped them learn. The schools helped, but mom and dad were the primary educators in the family back then. Well, now, with the two families and the two family income being necessary, right? Now we have to farm out the education of our children. And basically, our children were outsourced to somebody else. And the schools, instead of being the place of helping the family educate the children, they became the primary and only source of education, which did not take it very long to go from teaching to indoctrinating. You follow me here? That's why I say this whole, they told you the whole feminist movement was about empowerment. And that was the biggest lie. Right? They didn't need a movement for the empowerment of women. Women were the most important part of our society. They had the biggest responsibility, and they did it well. Look at the children from the 50s and the 60s, who are now all the grandparents and great-grandparents. There's your difference. That was the start of the decline of this. Once the school system became the primary source of education for your children, like I said, then they started indoctrinating the kids. It was no longer teaching them. The government could control what was taught them. You got to see the big picture. Don't look at the little picture like, we're burning our bras and now and all this kind of stuff. Right? They were blind to that. They were blind. Trust me. Oh, I didn't want to turn it off, you dumbass. Holy crap. Let me turn this. I just wanted it on low. Because my sausage is about done. Now my water is getting ready to start boiling so I can make my, well, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Andouille. Drain a little bit of the grease off of it. Anyway, I didn't want to get too political. I just wanted to talk about something, you know, get you all to thinking. Maybe get some of you mad at me, want to argue with me, but we can start a conversation. Wow. The perfect Cajun spice. Wow. Hillshire Farms Cajun style andouille smoked sausage. Woo! That's some good shit, boys, let me tell you. Come on, boil now. Give me a boil. Damn, that's really good. Now I'm hungry. I didn't realize, I got up this morning. I made breakfast for the puppies. We had our eggs and cheese and toast. And I hadn't eaten the rest of the day. It's now 6 o'clock. I'm a little bit hungry. But I thought I would let you see. I do cook out here at the cabin. I don't just come out here and go buy food, go run into town to restaurants to eat. And I don't buy stuff that you just throw in the microwave or bags, I like to cook out here. And this was something I hadn't tried before. On camera. Let me put it that way. God dang, that's good. Holy cow. I thought I might leave some of this for after dinner and have leftovers for tomorrow's lunch or something. I'm not sure I'll be leaving anything. Now, I'm not going to eat the whole box of Velveeta, but you can't get a half a box. But fortunately, Velveeta is cheap enough or the mac and cheese is cheap enough. Not like it used to be. Let me tell you about mac and cheese while we're talking about mac and cheese. I remember in my childhood, one of the times, I've mentioned before how I think, my mom was wanted by the law as we were growing up. Because we were just bounced from state to state. Woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, be in another state the next day. Grab what you can. But at one point, we were in Corpus Christi, Texas on Padre Island. And we were living in the car. There was 4 of us kids and our mom and stepdad. Then there was another couple with a couple of kids in another car. And that's where we lived on the beach for about 5 or 6 months. And pretty much every night dinner was mac and cheese with whatever we caught in the Gulf of Mexico to eat that we could, have with the mac and cheese. Or it would be the mac and cheese with hot dogs in it if they didn't have food stamps back then. Well, they had food stamps, but it took, a while to get them. And I think they sold our food stamps. But yeah, we had a lot of macaroni and cheese. Put peas in it, hamburger, whatever we could get to go with the mac and cheese. And we'd catch a lot of fish off the Gulf of Mexico. Fish, crawdad, shrimp, That was all there. I bet this shit is good on the grill. Alright, we got a boil going on. I don't know if you can see that or not. Oh, bacon bits. Yes. Velveeta shells and cheese with bacon bits. I didn't realize that. All right. Let's cook. Let's cook. About 10 minutes, I'll be sitting down to dinner. I'm going to take this sausage and put it on paper towels so it'll drain, soak some of the grease out of it. Hopefully, next weekend, or within 2 weeks, I'll have the other building moved. That's the plan. This weekend, I'm going to finish up the insulation in our building. I'm going to change the blades on the Husqvarna. I'm going to get the four-wheeler up and running. I'm going to change the oil and air filter on the Husqvarna. And I got a really cool fuel transfer pump I have to do a review on, so that you're not holding up those 5-gallon cans of gas trying to dump them. This works. They sent me one of the cheap ones. It takes 4 batteries. They have better ones that have rechargeable lithium battery in them, or they're 12 volt DC. They didn't send me one of those. But that's got to be pretty cool just to put that in the can and pump it into the lawnmower or four-wheeler or tractor or whatever. But it'll work for gasoline, diesel, water, kerosene. Good for all of them. I'll show you that when I go up and get some fuel. Got to keep stirring this stuff. I sure don't want it to boil over. Anyway, Nick started work at Bob Evans, so we went up there last night for dinner, Gail and I, which is extremely rare anymore that we can afford to go somewhere for dinner. But we wanted to see how Nick was doing. And I love their wildfire salad. It's really good with the chicken on it. And I got a half salad and a half a sandwich, half of BLT sandwich. I asked the waitress, I said, how does that work, a half a sandwich? Do I have to wait till somebody else orders half a sandwich, then you make one and cut it in half? I mean, how do you do that? Do you make one and cut it in half and throw the other half away? I don't know. She said she didn't know either. She wondered about that. But I got the half salad and the BLT for $8.99. That was really good. And I expected a little bowl of salad, you know, a little half of regular bread. But the big sourdough bread, 3 or 4 slices of bacon on it. And Nick didn't know it was us that was ordering. It's not like he did anything special. But yeah, if you go in there and order like that, it's pretty cheap stuff. It's affordable. I'm not going to say cheap, but it's a little more affordable. Okay, I can turn that off now. All of that is done. Dabbing up grease off of the sausages and butter. All right. Okay. Dang it. Almost had a shell stuck to that. Yeah, that's good. That's done. That are done. So, Let me strain it now. You know what? Let me just do it right here. Alright, let's pour in some cheese. Oh yeah, the Velveeta cheese. Y'all remember when you got the food commodities? Back in the day, everything came in like plain white labels from the USDA. You used to get the big block of cheese. And then, as the cost of everything rose, oh yeah, mix this all up. As the cost of groceries started rising more and more and more and more, they came out with the basically generic versions of everything. And the first ones, the store brand, if you will, they had all the white labels. That's how you knew what was store brand versus, you know, the big name stuff. Oh, yeah. Looky here. Oh, that looks so good. Let's throw a little bacon bits in there. Alright, there is a handyman's dinner, or a hungry man's dinner. Alright, dinner is served. Hope y'all enjoyed this, chatting while I was cooking. You got to see how easy it was for me to make my meal out here. And I'm going to log off of here. And tomorrow I'll get busy doing some stuff. Remember, join me tomorrow night for the live stream. But this is Joe, out here in the kitchen, in the cabin at St. Bernard Acres. I'm out, folks.